Hi, and welcome to the In the Wrong Bed podcast, episode 6. I am your host, Justin Weigler. As always, with me is my co host, Jonathan Sokol. And we will be reviewing night nine. We were going through night 9 in the Premier League.
Yes.
So, getting right into it, Luke Humphreys, Luke Littler, they've now decided to start with a bang.
Oh man.
Is the big matchup to start. Usually that's been like one of the last matches is involved, but now is the first one with the Battle of the Lukes. Um, Littler actually is an underdog in this, and I can't say that they're wrong. It's weird, but like, I don't know about you, but it seems like Luke Littler, everyone's playing their best darts against him.
That has been true. It seems like everyone raises their game when they're going against Littler. So
It's
I
weird.
was
Like
surprised by
everyone's
this.
throwing like 90, like 99,
Yeah.
100 plus like against him every time. And it doesn't seem to matter who it is, but they're coming out. Even, you know, was it 2 weeks ago where Peter Wright lost to Littler? Peter Wright lost with like 105 average or something insane. Like everyone's just like trying to stick it to this kid. Like,
I
and
know.
he's holding in
Yeah,
there,
it
but he's not
it
winning
was
any nights.
a great example of that. Yeah. I'm just gonna come out and say I think this is gonna be Littler's night to win. I
You
think if he
think?
gets rid, yeah, I think if he gets rid of Humphreys right out of the gate, that he'll take it all the way to the end.
See, the
Finally,
thing the thing is, like, I think he seems like he gets up for one game, and then his second game, he just
fizzles.
kind of loses it.
Yeah,
Or he
yeah.
just doesn't get into the game the same way. Like I don't know what I don't know what it is. It just seems like he keeps like he'll go like balls to the wall on the first game, and then the second game he just like I don't know. I proved my point.
Fizzles
I
out a
don't
little.
care. Yeah, like
Yeah,
I think this is why he's like not he hasn't won a night yet, which is kind of weird. But like I also think like I don't know if he gets really hyped because all right, this is complete conjecture here.
hmm,
But I look at his walk on and his
yeah,
first one, he's really focused. He's going
yeah.
through and he seems like, staring ahead, just go ahead and do it. And then the second one, he seems all cheery, high-fiving more people, getting into the music a little bit more. Like, and it's like he relaxes too much
You think
on
he's
on the
having
second
beers
game.
in between the matches, or what?
Maybe he's had a couple beers in between, down a couple shots. I don't know
Yeah,
what's happened, but like it just seems like his second match, he never comes out as good as he did in his first one.
yeah. I can see that, and I think, and maybe that's just him being young and not. It takes a lot of skill to really focus all the time and stay
It
at
does.
this level of focus in order to be able to be absolutely great. And maybe he's learning that still.
I mean, yeah, I mean, he's still
I mean,
obviously
he's
learning
still
on the job. He's still great, but it is weird because and incidentally, Nathan Aspinall kind of has this problem in not liking to play multiple matches on the same day. Like he gets very focused and then he thinks he loses a little bit of
loses
his
it.
edge somewhat. And this is actually a problem for just Aspinall on the European tour. We could talk about him later.
Yeah, that's a good
Um,
theory, and I yeah.
but he a
So
lot of
where
times he just ends up like he can play one match and give it his all, and then just can't get the juice for that second round that day.
yeah. So where are you heading on this match? Littler's plus 140, Humphreys minus 160 on the
I
money line.
honestly at 140, that's really tempting money line.
I
That's a
know.
really tempting money line for even though Humphreys has
Um,
been playing out of his mind, it's almost like the values on Littler here. I think I'm gonna take
uh,
Littler and not and think he doesn't win, but
yeah.
keeps it close.
So
This also could be a very well take the over a nine and a
mhm.
half legs. I think I'll take over 9.5 legs because I just think they're too close.
I'm definitely doing over 9.5, and then I am going to go Littler because that is where I see the value. It like Littler's average. Sure, Humphreys has been touching like 105, 106, like crazy numbers. I don't think those are sustainable. Littler's still been staying above 100 a lot of the time. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
he's at a very peak level still, and I just can't see him being that much of an underdog, even to Humphreys. So
Yeah, I mean, I that's just it just feels like you're right. It feels like too much of an underdog to give someone that good. Like I wouldn't give, like I don't think I would take like him, Humphreys, or MVG if they were getting plus 130 against anybody. I think I would take them. I just think they're
Yeah,
too good. They're
yeah,
just too good to to be that big of an underdog
yeah.
to anybody.
And he's not showing any signs of a slump or anything like that. So, I mean, he's still playing very high level. That's why I think he could easily win this one. And I like the value on the money line.
Yeah,
Not
I mean,
crazy about
even
plus 1.5, minus 145 for Littler. That
mhm. Yeah,
I
I mean
do
that
think the match goes
seems.
to the end if you want to be safe, but I think
I
take the
mean,
over and then the plus 140, do a little on that.
here's where I also kind of like. I think it'll be close. I think I'm definitely gonna take the over to 9.5. Littler minus 1.5 plus 210 though.
Mm,
I mean, if you think he can win the match, he can win the match by 2 legs. That's kind of what I think about anybody in the Premier League. If you can think
yeah,
they can win the match,
bet the minus
it's just I wouldn't put a
one
full
and a half,
unit on it.
basically.
But like seeing anything in the plus 200 for Littler minus 1.5, that's a very reasonable, well, at least in my mind. I that can certainly happen. I would say more than 30% of the time.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
no, I'm with you. So I think we're aligned. Favorite bet here is definitely the over 9.5. That's where I'll be putting most of the money, and then probably sprinkle a little on Littler money line or that minus 1.5 as well.
yeah, that's what I think I'm gonna be doing all three of those.
All right.
So from the Battle of the Lukes to the Battle of the Mikes, Michael Smith and
Well,
Michael Van Gerwen.
oh, real quick
Oh
before we
yeah,
move,
sure.
I wanted to talk averages because they actually threw up a 103.5 average on Luke Humphreys for this week, which is 3 points. I think it's like 3 points higher than any
That
that
is
we've seen in the
high.
past. Yeah. So
I did see it. I
I
saw it
like an
earlier at
under
102.5, and it was minus 125. And I couldn't believe
on that.
that was getting bet that high. The fact it's at minus 103.5, that seems, geez, all you need to do is miss like a handful of doubles and that takes your
I know.
average.
He was so consistently like at 105, 106 last week that I think they just overreacted. But that's
Yeah, what
another
and
one.
103.5 and minus 125, which means people are people are still betting the over on it.
Yeah. So I have to get on that under 103.5. I think
Yeah, that's a good one too. I mean, and honestly, it kind of plays into the
that
narrative.
is
If you think
just an overreaction too. I mean, how well he's playing, but yeah,
he is playing really well, though. I mean, the worst part is I wouldn't be
I
shocked if
know.
he went over 103.5. But that's such
No,
a that's
especially,
so high. That's too
yeah,
high to expect anyone to do. And to get minus 110 on the other side of it, like I'm actually I'll check back this. We're taping this Wednesday night. I'm going to check back this tomorrow morning. If it ends up being, if it somehow gets to 104.5, like definitely hammering the under of
I
that. But
know.
even 103.5, I can't believe it's this high. That's crazy.
Yeah.
It's
Highest
crazy
we've
and watch
seen
him hit
for
up.
sure. So
Yeah, and he'll
I know.
absolutely
I know.
watch him hit it. So as I said, battle of the
All right.
mics: Michael Smith,
Yep.
Michael Van Gerwen at minus 165, plus 135 on Smith. Um, I don't love. I mean, I think Michael Smith's playing well enough to take the dog here again.
Me too. It's kind of the same situation where, well, where I like the dog basically, and the lines are almost identical. So
Mm-hmm.
it's very similar to that Humphreys Littler in terms of the lines. And I'm I'm not loving the like over 9.5 just because Michael Smith seems to be pretty unpredictable sometimes. Like
Honestly,
he
so
could
is
easily,
MVG.
yeah. Well, right now he
MVG
has been,
like craps himself sometimes,
yeah.
like in these for no good reason. Uh,
So yeah, I lean more towards take Michael Smith maybe on the money line here. That's kind of where I'm going, and hope he can pull it out. He has been playing well. His average and MVG's average the last month are about the same. So
yeah, that's a good point. Like, I think, um, I kind of agree. Although looking at the averages, Michael Smith's is 96 and a half. He can do over 96 and a half pretty easily. I kind of like the over on that. But it's also fitting with our narrative that if we think Michael Smith can win, he's probably gonna have to do it over 96 and a half to do it. Like I can't imagine him throwing
Yeah,
like a
and
94 average and winning.
yeah, no, his line has consistently been, I think, right at the 96 and a half. And in the past, I've been liking the unders on that because it felt like he was in a bit of a slump, but I think he's coming out of it now. Like I said, his last month, he's right at, yeah, 90 96 and a half, basically 96. So so I think he's coming out of a slump, and MVG might still be kind of in the middle of one.
Yeah. Yeah. I definitely like him. Um, I might even take him. I might even take him at minus 130 plus a leg and a half if it gets close.
Yeah,
This kind of this feels like this could be coming down to who wins the bull as well.
yeah.
Um, I think there's a lot of variance in this match, though.
I have
I
that same
think it'll be
feeling. I feel like
close,
Michael
but
Smith likes to play these like 11 leg matches.
yeah, he does. And I
So
think like everyone gets up for MVG too. So
yeah,
him and Luke Luger to be the two that like everyone really wants to play their best against.
definitely.
Uh, I was very happy last week. I finally hit my plus 450 Michael Smith bullseye finish
Ah, nice.
on a match. And him and Littler have been really close too. Like
Oh yeah,
I'm shocked, and they've had tons of chances at it. Like actually, that's a good thing. Maybe I got to look up for next time is what the bull finishing rate is for each
yeah.
for each of them.
I mean, I know Littler's. He had a. I mean, he's gone after it a bunch of times, and yeah, I didn't
And he
think he had.
purposely sets it up even when he doesn't really need to.
Yeah, yeah,
Like he set up, I think it was a couple weeks ago. He set up a 164 when he could have gone. Excuse me. He could have gone for one of 160. And it's like, oh, you definitely want to just check out on bulls all the time. And he's really comfortable at it.
yeah, yeah.
And especially after he threw that double bull finish against James Wade,
Oh,
like
I
on a
know.
120,
That was
which
cool.
was really awesome.
Yeah.
And James Wade's reaction to it was great too. But like I saw someone tried it last week. I think Luke Humphreys did it last week now.
Yeah, there was.
You know,
No,
did a
I
bull wolf
remember
at on a 120, did the exact same thing and hit it,
remember seeing one. So
which is always really cool to see, but also kind of nuts, like that they have that
I
kind of
know.
skill. It's like, oh yeah, I'll just throw two at the hardest segment there is on the board and think that'll work, but it does. Um, anything else on the mic matchup before we head to Nathan Espinal and Gerwin?
No, I didn't see anything else. Didn't have a good feel for 180s on that one. Like, kind of expect an over, but over 5.5. But it's also heavily juiced that way. So
Yeah, true. It's usually heavily juiced over 5.5 and heavily juiced under 6.5. It's like they're
yeah,
expecting six exactly,
yeah,
and minus 150 on each way. So
right.
um, even if you try to middle it, I don't think that's a particularly good bet if you can even find uh,
Yeah,
exactly six on that.
yeah.
Okay. Next game is Price and Aspinall. And I think it's interesting. It's like all
What?
the odds are the same this week.
I
Like it's
know.
minus
No,
167 Price to
yeah.
minus 135 Asp.
Till you get
And,
to Peter Wright,
yeah,
then
until you get to Peter
he
Wright, and then everyone thinks
yeah.
Peter Wright's going to get dumped on, which he usually does. Uh, but Aspinall and Price, my things, I'm taking Aspinall to win this week, the winning outright. He's my pick to win outright this week at plus 1,000. I just think he's got the easier half of the
Really,
draw.
he
He's
has
been
been playing pretty well.
and he has been playing decent. I think just plus 1,000 on him is I just think there's enough value because the bracket he's in, he plays the winner of Cross and Wright. probably Rob Cross. But like, even if there's a chance, like I don't think he should be a massive underdog to Rob Cross either. Like, and then who you get in the finals, who you get in the final. But I just think there's a little bit of value on him at plus 1,000 this week. So I'll be taking him to win this week outright. But to win this
Yeah,
week
I
outright
like
means he's
that. I
got to
think
win
that's a
this
good.
match. And I like the underdog here again at 135. I don't know. What are you thinking on this match?
This is one. I'm definitely going with Gerwin here. I'm gonna do the -1.5, but like Aspinall is not one of my favorite players for sure, and that's probably
You said
tainting
because
some
he
of
is my
my
favorite player. So
viewpoints. but I do think has been playing well, so he makes me a bit nervous here. But I also feel like Gerwin has been showing some signs of life lately as well, playing a little bit better the last few times out. And to me, this feels like a chance to take advantage of a point where Gerwin might be expected to be even more of a favorite over Aspinall if Aspinall wasn't playing so well. I don't know. Based on the averages, Aspinall has been averaging decent, but it hasn't been outrageous. He's not going over 100 all that much. He
no, that's true.
isn't
He's not.
consistently in that range. So I think it's a little bit of a fool's gold with him getting to the finals. I think was that 2 weeks ago and just playing decent, or at least making it deep in these tournaments. But I just think it's time for
The only thing
that to
the thing that worries me about Gezi
run
is
out, that
that
luck to run out a little.
the thing that worries me about Gezi is that sometimes he just like mucks around on his doubles and he lets people into the match. And that's the kind of thing that Aspinall like hits a lot of big outshots. Like he hits a
Yeah,
lot of 100-ton plus outshots. And if his scoring is even decent, Gurren Price is, I guarantee you, Gurren Price is going to blow a leg. He should win in this match
yeah,
where he's ahead, like he's on 40 and Aspinall is in like 220 or something like that, or 230s. And he misses that set of doubles. And Aspinall hits, ton 40, ton for a checkout, and it's like we're like seems to happen every week against him. Like he just
yeah,
like just kind of and if you do that too much, these guys are just too good. Everyone here in the Premier League is just too good, and especially in a first to six format, to not to just give away legs.
yeah.
Which is why I have a hard time sometimes betting
Yeah, you
on
can't
on
waste any legs in this.
on Price minus winning by any margin. Like if his doubles are on, you can see it, but like it just he's been too inconsistent on the doubles. Like I think at the Premier League to really blow people out.
Yeah, yeah. I know. I don't feel great about this one. It's probably the bet I like the least out of all the ones from this week. But I always try to at least go for something and just bet a little on it. And I'm leaning on Gerwin for this one.
Yeah, I get it. There's also might be an interesting under 180. There's 5.5. They're either gonna blow past it or gonna go under like 4.5. Like
Yeah, I like the under on that. Definitely at the plus 105.
mhm.
I like the
You can actually get
taking
if
taking a shot on the under, and I've
yeah,
done
and
that
actually
actually.
the under 4.5 I have on Caesars is actually plus 225, which is kind of a interesting take if you think if Aspinall was off and he's not hitting 180s, that probably very well could go under.
Yeah, my quick, just simple calculation has this right at 180. So the under plus 105 to me seems
Yeah, that's a good bet then.
like a real nice
Yeah, that's
bet
that's
there.
a really nice bet then. Agree. We'll be doing that.
Yeah.
And to the final match, Rob Cross against Peter Wright.
Yes.
Rob at minus 250. It steamed up. It was minus 210 earlier in the week. Steamed up to minus 250 or even minus 275. I've got on DraftKings. I don't know what you have on low vig, but or any
Yeah,
of the
minus
international.
240 actually, plus 200. So
No,
to
that's
get
not
some,
terrible. I kind of like that. He's at minus 2.5 plus 120
yeah.
as well. Um, I don't Peter Wright's been playing better recently. He's at least been competitive, I should say.
Yeah. Yeah, he's playing better. Rather than being in the 80s, he's now back into the 90s
Yeah,
at
I know.
least. So,
True.
uh,
I mean, he's thrown some. He's been playing, I'd say, decent quality darts recently. Not great, but
no.
good.
Yeah.
Um, I actually
Yeah, he's still clearly the worst out of these eight guys
that's just it. He's
in the way
definitely
that
the
he's playing.
worst.
But yeah,
I can't believe
and
I'm saying this. I think I like him plus 2.5 at minus 160.
that's not bad. I always have a feeling with Rob Cross that he doesn't blow people out. I haven't backed it up with actually looking into it a
Yeah,
ton
it's
in
just
the
because he's
data,
not
but
a huge scorer typically.
yeah, yeah,
Like he doesn't get ahead in a lot of
yeah.
legs, and he's not out of a
So
lot
I
of
don't mind
legs.
taking Peter Wright. Yeah, yeah. The plus 2.5 is intriguing. I'm also not opposed to a Rob Cross minus 1.5, and that's probably where I'm landing on this one. It is that so, but yeah,
Both
six
things could be
four. We
true.
can both we can both
We could
win.
both win at
Oh, no.
6-4.
Yeah,
I do. It's honest. It's a little tough to put my money where my mouth is with Peter Wright because you could also see him losing 6-1 and not be shocked at that.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
and
And I do feel like Cross.
yeah, it's just and Cross can be really good. Like I think
Yeah,
he's
he's
very
been
underrated.
elevating lately. Yeah, I think he's been great lately. So uh, I I'm definitely liking Cross at the minus 1.5 here.
Yeah, and I think I might stick with Peter Wright 2.5 and just hold it. Hope it ends up 6-4. Rob,
Yeah,
maybe we ought to just bet 6-4. Rob Cross is probably like plus 500 or something like
I know. I was
that.
just looking at a plus
Yeah,
450,
yeah, plus
6-4 Rob
450 at
Cross to
six
win.
four Rob
Yeah,
Cross. Maybe that'd be nice
yeah.
if that's where it lands. Um,
I know.
it very well could. But Peter Wright, if he's gonna win that, like what I always
It's
like
gonna be
with Peter
close.
Wright though is he sometimes pulls checkouts out of his ass. Like
Yeah,
he'll do nothing all game, and then he'll pull out like a 146 or something. We're like,
yeah.
where'd this come from? You haven't thrown three good darts all in six legs, and then you pull that out. Um, so I actually kind of like him at both him and Rob Cross at the over 100 plus checkout. Rob Cross is at plus one or minus 115. And Peter Wright at plus 125. I actually kind of
Oh,
like both of them to hit 100 plus checkout like during this game.
okay. Yeah, I like that. That's actually a good catch. This one also has an average that I really like is the Peter Wright 95.5. It seems like it's 2 points too high still. Like it has been 93.5. I guess they're feeling like he's been playing better. Um, yeah, I think you're getting a deal on the under for 95.5 on Peter Wright there.
You probably are. And this is what worries me about betting him all the time. Is like, would you be surprised if Peter Wright threw an 88 average out there or an 86 average? Like, no, you wouldn't.
No, yeah,
And so that's what makes it so hard to bet on. I still think the numbers say that Peter Wright at plus 2.5 minus 62 is still fair. Um, but this is also somewhat dependent on, winning the bowl and then only losing one break, right? Like if he
yeah,
loses the bowl and it goes down a break, it's 6-3 cross and that's it.
yeah.
Which is always incidentally why I like betting 1.5 minus
I
two,
know, I
a
know.
lot better than 2.5, only because you only need one break and you can
Yeah,
be on either
exactly.
side of it. And as long as it's not the 11th leg, you're winning that bet. Um, so it's tough to go
Yeah,
half unless you think they really, really stink. And Peter, yeah, again, I think our wishy-washiness goes with his inconsistency
Definitely.
more than it says anything about Rob Cross, I think. Because Rob Cross is good, put up a decent average, hit
Yeah.
most of his outs, and kind of he's like the Tiffany of James Wade's right now. Like just better average, better checkout.
Yeah.
Not, but rarely will he throw up a one, some 108 average or something really
No,
high like that.
no. But I am shading over 97.5 on him this week. I
It
think,
still feels low. It does.
yeah,
It's 97.5 feels low. The only
yeah,
thing I will say is that sometimes Peter Wright, when you play someone who's off, they drag you down
yes,
because there's no sense of urgency.
exactly. Yeah, you take an extra turn checking out, and then that blows the average because you
Exactly.
can, you can. So,
Exactly. You're
yeah,
not, you're like, okay,
yeah,
I'll set this up, to 18s instead of really go for it, because Peter Wright's, stuck on 240
yeah,
or, like something like 241. And he'll be, all right, I'll just set this up instead of trying to, go out and,
yeah.
lowers your average.
That's a good point. And that might be why they shaded it down because I'm pretty sure he was at 98.5 the last couple of weeks. So
Yeah. I do like,
or
but
his
I agree.
line.
I still like him over 97.5 as long as Peter Wright doesn't suck. If Peter Wright sucks, then 97.5 might be in jeopardy.
Yeah. So you brought up one point. Now that we're through the matches, I figured I would ask you a question here. So the 6'4", 6'3", you could get to those levels only having one break. So the throwing for the bull before the match becomes pretty important. That's something that for a future discussion, I wouldn't mind trying to find data on that and who is if there's anybody who's consistently getting the first throw over some of the others, and then you really start looking at that -2.5 a bit more because if you feel like there's a good chance they're going to be getting the first throw, then -2.5 is just as valuable as the -1.5 that we're
In fact, well, and just as valuable is actually far more
talking about.
valuable.
So
The 2.5 is far more valuable than the 1.5 if that's the case, because
right, yeah,
typically
exactly,
that
yeah,
really means is that you're going to there's usually a lot bigger difference on that. Like the VIG's a lot more. It's usually 70 cents difference going from that, as opposed to win outright to 1.5. So I think that it's really just a much bigger thing to look at. And yeah, we will. Maybe that's next podcast. I think we should be able to look and find the data out there. It's got to be out there somewhere.
yeah.
We
So
shall
a
search
little
it out.
little teaser for next time.
Yeah,
We'll see
exactly.
what
Because
we find.
I think it'll be
Yeah,
really interesting to find that.
yeah,
Great. So we have our homework for our next podcast. But that'll be it for this one. So for Jonathan Sokol, I'm Justin Weigler. Thanks for listening, everyone. Talk to you next week.